All right. Well, here we are at 7 o'clock Central, back on Tuesday night. Some of you, I don't know, I hope aren't left over. You haven't been here since Monday night, last night, waiting for us. If so, apologies. Just kidding. I don't think anybody
camping out now for pure fish eating.
Waiting for tickets. Yeah, I don't think anybody waited 24 hours. But yeah, back to Tuesday night. So that's exciting. VSG 107 at 7 o'clock Central. My name is Daniel Young. Golly, got the whole crew with us tonight. Got Brother Cruz, Mr. Salam, Mr. Luxner, and it's cool that we're all back together again. We've got everybody in the college football officiating world has got a little bit of football under their belt, so that's really exciting. We've got some other friends going to start their 2022 officiating journey this weekend. So we're in it, man. This is it. This is what we're here for. And I'm excited to be here tonight. How's everybody doing?
Doing good.
What? I'm doing great, man. We got football games that we worked this past weekend. It's soul food, right? Doesn't it make you just feel good after you step on the field and get done with the game? After
oh my gosh,
9 months off.
Oh man, it's so good being back out there. Just the whole thing. I mean, everything about it. It's good to be back. Tuta, you got to work a game?
I did, man. 13 minutes, 39 seconds into the game. Wait, let me back up.
Is that game time or real time?
Maybe both.
Game time. But let me back up. Real time, play number 5. So I don't know what time that was, but the way that Oklahoma was playing, it was super fast. I had a potential roughing the passer. Of course, we don't see live hits during scrimmages in the spring. We don't see them in the fall. I passed on that roughing the passer. And then 13:39 in the first quarter, which was play 10, I had a roughing the passer, which I probably think I should have said roughing the passer with targeting.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's just, let me just make all the excuses in the world. It's really difficult to get back into live football that quickly when you don't get to see real live football. I don't care what we do with these scrimmages and practices and all that. None of that stuff counts. Man, when they start actually playing and it's two different teams playing each other, everything is different.
Oh, it's totally different. Totally different.
Yeah.
And especially I don't know if you think this matters, but I do, especially that early, I hear these short wings talking about, I was in a text string today for like 45 minutes. They're talking about IDP. And I thought, oh my gosh, who cares? I mean, that's right. Roughing the passer with targeting. That's a huge call. All eyes are on that action when it happens. So that's even makes it, tougher to just transition right out of the bat.
Right.
Versus an IDP that nobody cares about. Let's be honest.
Or a simple
excuse bandwagon. Excuses.
No.
Well, the point was, got right back into it. I doubled down on. I did call roughing the pass. I did not call RPS with targeting, but I doubled down on my possible mistake. I don't know. It's not a mistake. I wouldn't call it a mistake. I just didn't. My judgment maybe, or my mechanics were maybe just need a little bit tweaking. But I doubled down on that by making a bad announcement. So that's how I started off the season. So I have nowhere to go but up. So there we go.
Yeah.
I was watching the game. You made an announcement on that play?
Brandon? I will not. You were not going to. Actually, you did. You caught a fish this time. I turned on my microphone. I don't know why you think I did not. And you can clearly see me turn it off at the end of my announcement. I don't control what the Fox TV people do with their studio and their audio. So if you didn't hear an announcement, that's not my fault. I apologize, sir.
Okay.
Well, why are you apologizing if it's not your fault?
I think we need a little more forensic analysis. Oh, I should have had the picture, Daniel. That would have been perfect. Put the picture on right now that shows his microphone's not on. That would have been great.
All right. He did it. I'm going to interrupt. peer officiating at some point in time, VSG at some point in time tonight, and I'm going to show something. So
Oh boy. All right. You know, when you think about week 1, you think about Idaho at Washington State, don't you?
I know I do.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Here we go. We have a
Vandals.
poll up. Yep. So this is going to come
The polls in the way.
fast.
yeah,
Polls in
what
the
did you
way.
do, Brandon?
Yeah, do that thing where
Polls on my right.
no, it's in the
No.
way.
Polls blocking the entire screen.
Yeah.
And
Really?
we can't close it.
Interesting.
We should have
Yep.
the option to do it later.
I'll close it. Oh boy. Reopen. How about now?
Nope.
Still saying.
Dude, this is first time. Sorry, y'all. This guy just.
So what am I supposed to do? Just not start the poll? Maybe you guys should start the poll. Is everybody seeing the same thing?
I can't even. I can't do anything.
I can't do anything.
Anything other than
Vote.
Vote and click submit is all.
vote.
everything
Yeah,
I-
I'm gonna vote.
Really? Why is that?
Because you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't-
I was thinking of a nicer way to put it, but
All
that's
I-
No,
not-
just-
all I
sometimes you
said
just
is
gotta be
start
blunt,
the
Corey.
poll. I mean, I don't.
Okay,
have to switch-
but
I'm not switching microphone on. Here, why don't we just look at the play and we'll introduce the options. We'll introduce the options. We'll look at the play and then we'll reopen the poll. Does that
there
work?
you go. That sounds great. Let's do that.
Okay, well, this is simple. What's your ruling? So, is it catching a fumble? It's catching forward progress.
Close the
Is
poll,
it-
Brandon.
yeah, you got to close
Is
the
it-
poll for this
Yeah,
whole thing.
I'm
to work.
reading it, and then I'm going to close it. Is it
Okay.
incomplete because the receiver didn't control the ball long enough, or is it incomplete because he didn't survive the ground? Close the poll. Look at the play. So what are we saying? One of these classic RPO plays. They throw it to the other side. All right, and then we have a judgment to make, don't we? Catch fumble. Is it catch forward progress? Is it incomplete because he didn't have it long enough, or is it incomplete because he didn't survive the ground? And do you guys know why the poll blocks the thing? Seriously?
Yes.
Okay.
You have to give the option to complete the poll later or something, and it will.
Really?
Once you click that button, it pushes the poll off to the side, and then you can continue. And
So that option wasn't given?
I don't know.
Okay. Oh, well. You never know. You never know what's going to happen.
Oh man, this is a great play.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you really have three choices, and then within the incomplete pass flavor, you have like another branch, right? So if you think it's incomplete, then you got to know why you think it's incomplete. Is it because he didn't have it for long enough, or because he didn't survive the ground? Which is kind of an interesting way to think about it, but within that decision making, obviously you're classifying this as a receiver who is one or the other. So when should I put the poll back up that blocks the wonderful HD video from
I think we're
Pullman,
good now.
Washington?
Let's do it.
I'm reopening it. Can people revote or not?
Yeah, because you closed it and reopened it.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, people are voting. I think we're good.
Now
That's kind of annoying.
I know, but there's something that you were supposed to click, and
Oh, really?
I don't even remember what it was.
What if we click
Yes.
this little? See this arrow up and to the right, or would that just do it on my screen?
No, I wouldn't hit that.
Okay. All right. Off to a blazing start. Daniel,
Oh, I
you had a
think so.
catch, no catch play in your week 0 game that we got to break down last week. That was a lot of fun.
We did. Had another one that was pretty simple
Mhm.
that I had to come in and support this weekend too.
Nice.
I came in and said, guys, the ball was on the ground over here. Oh, yeah. So he didn't survive the ground. Nope. This one's
all right.
tough.
So do we just do we start talking about it, or do we close
Let's
it?
go.
Leave
If
it
people
open.
haven't voted by now, I mean, God,
It seems like we got a few responses. So
Yeah, we've got a good amount.
okay,
but-
I see that 59% said incomplete, receiver didn't control the ball long enough. 25% said catch and fumble, so that's the exact opposite. Kind of 11% said catch and forward progress, and 5% said incomplete, receiver didn't survive the ground. So
Wait,
catch-
hold on. What 5?
No.
I'm gonna fight somebody. 5% of the people said that.
Yeah,
But
Maybe that's when
boss- the dude,
maybe that's when it was blocking the video.
yeah. Okay.
So
So why is that so outrageous, Tuta?
Well, the ball is bouncing on the ground for 7 hours before the dude even touches the ground.
Right. So he can't be incomplete by reason of surviving the ground if we never get to the ground before we lose the ball.
Right.
yeah, I mean, so in other words, but you do want to create a category of a type of receiver, don't you? I mean, is he going to the ground or not? No, he's not going to the ground to try to complete the process of the catch, right?
Right. He has
And I
to-
know what you're gonna. Yeah, I know you're gonna say that's pointless in this play, but I mean, I get that, but it just highlights the point that he's really not going to the ground to complete the process of the catch, anyways.
Right.
So upright receiver. So now, what do we have to decide in order to make this ruling? Because now we really have 3 left on the table, and we had, a certain percent of folks get in on all 3. So incomplete because he didn't have it long enough. Does he catch it and then fumble it, or does he catch it and then get stopped for forward progress? So kind of a big decision, because either the offense is going to gain yards, either the offense is going to turn it over, or it's just going to be, loss of down at the previous spot for the incomplete pass. So what are you looking at here in terms of control, feet on the ground, time, all that good stuff?
Well, it's the age-old question when we're working catch, no catch, and that it often is, and that's just element of time, right? I mean, I think we can clearly see firm control, and we've got 2 feet down in bounds, and so we're just back where we often are with catch, no catch, and we're working through this element of time consideration. And this one is really, really challenging. I think this is a great
Mhm.
play.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Daniel, let me ask you, while we're working through element of time, where does the consideration for second act from a defender come into the element of time evaluations? Like, let's say number 11 on defense, if we feel like he stripped the ball out of number 6's hands, where does the element of time come into play with the fact that, well, not the fact, our judgment that he stripped the ball out of number 6's hands?
I think that's a great question. I think with an upright receiver, that's not necessarily a beneficial thought. Like we talked about that last week with the guy going to the ground. He survived the element of ground, and that element of time for surviving the ground had been completed before the ball was knocked out here. Well, knocked out here. With the absence of the ground and that idea of surviving the ground or going to the ground, the element of time just is what it is. And it doesn't really matter if it's a second act or if he just bobbles it or if it's just a hard hit.
Right.
However he loses firm control is how he loses firm control. I don't know if that's answering your question, but in my mind,
that's a perfect answer.
Okay.
So we can't get confused. We can't start confusing ourselves and say, oh, well, he stripped the ball out. Because that's irrelevant.
Right.
The only thing that's relevant is the element of time.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, I think that we can use the defender stripping the ball out when if we're in doubt about the element of time and it takes the defender to strip the ball out, to pull the ball out rather than just knock it out, that could be an indicator that the process of the catch was complete.
Similar to the play you had last year, Brandon?
Yes. Now there was to me in that play, that one was a little different because the receiver tucked the ball, was tucking the ball, took several steps, and had his mindset on scoring. This one, we see the receiver attempt to turn, and is he putting the ball away? Has he already got it put away? And then is it pulled out? So I think the judgment here, to me, the bottom line is that what we have to judge is, did this defender basically knock and or strip the ball out while the receiver was attempting to put the ball away, or did he do so after the receiver put the ball away, as indicated by his attempt to turn?
Oh, so just how long? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, because he clearly has control for an element of time. I'm not saying it's enough of an element of time, but there is an element of time where he has control.
So what you're saying is the idea of the second act can help you conceptualize that element of time. I think what we were saying is that the second act in certain instances can be your defining consideration, whether a second act was completed either by the receiver going to the ground or by a defender when a receiver has survived the ground. Here, you're saying it helps provide context for you in regards to the element of time. And I think that
it does. To me, it does. Because if it takes the defender some type of act to pry, strip the ball loose versus just knocking the ball out, right? That's a really good distinction to me.
But I mean, he could still do that and not satisfy the element of time.
I totally agree. I'm saying it can only be an indicator. It can't be an absolute.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, totally. I mean, so here, I don't know. I don't know if you want to go with me on that thought train or not. Like, does he complete kind of putting the ball away as he's attempting to turn, or is it just out too fast?
Golly. So when I first saw this, when you watch it live and you really can't see the ball, like the details of the ball, my instinct would really be that this is just too fast and to wipe this out. When I can see the ball and the detail on this ISO, I really feel like we tuck, turn, and then maintain tuck through contact with the defender. And then ultimately it is Levin's hand who pops it out, which that element of time, so we get contact from the defender first where he just bodies him and he maintains firm control throughout that. And that's a very different element of time. Whereas if as soon as we're turning, because we tuck and now we're turning, we get popped and the ball comes out, that's just that whatever measurement, split second, millisecond, blink of an eye quicker than we turn, we get collisioned, we maintain firm control, and then the ball comes out afterwards based upon whatever Levin does with his hands.
Yeah, let's get to Corey. But first, let me just throw this in. If there is that much time, like you're talking about, why isn't forward progress perhaps then a consideration? Because, he's kind of pulled back. Ball comes out after he gets pulled back. But I like Corey, just on the field, you're looking at this from your position. That's your guy. You're seeing this the whole way. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same line of thought as Daniel. Like when you watch this the first time, it just – that gut instinct of time is just so quick. And, when you're able to break it down, I think, just like what Dan said, if he can survive with control with that first hit by number 11, I think to me that satisfies the element of time because he's not only tucked, he's turned, and he's survived contact. So that to me would satisfy that. But I don't know if you see that detail because from my position here, I'm just going to see that hand going in on the ball and right. It's loose by the time he turns around. And when you combine that with the timing of it, I think I come in here incomplete with this one. Mm-hmm. But, looking on video is a different story, obviously.
And slow motion. The slow motion shot from there's really two angles that are pretty slow. Really make you want to go down the catch fumble
right
to me, but in real time, we got to be aware that on the field we're working these things in real time, and then we can have the replay discussion if we want. But this isn't really a play to say, well, let's just kick it upstairs and let somebody else officiate it. It's more of a play for us to really be strong with our ruling one way or the other. So I think that if you see enough detail and you see a distinct act of a defender having to rip the ball out and you're comfortable with that in real time, I think it's okay. Catch fumble, right? I don't like forward progress, by the way. I just threw that in there. But if you're not comfortable with that, then I think it's better to just say, gosh, that ball's out quick. You know, it just really doesn't become an obvious catch to me. So I'm going to rule it incomplete based on the sequence of events here with as little time as he actually has the ball. So it's like everything. It's we're looking for details to inform our decision-making process.
You know, I know we never ever want to just kick it upstairs, but there are kind of guiding principles that they are replay brothers and sisters talk to us about in situations like this, you know, which way they want to go with this. And so I don't know, you know, I don't think I've ever officiated a play like, you know, with that in my mindset, but maybe we should. I don't know, because, you know, they say it's much easier for us to rule incomplete on this and they can make it a catch versus the opposite. So I don't know if we're in that type of situation. Do we enter that, you know?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess what I was saying is one of the fallacy thoughts is just keep the play alive.
Oh, right? I got you.
And we don't want to go down that track. Now, sometimes if we have doubt, that's fine. Fumble versus down. And, you know, there might be a point in time where this all changes, but at this point in time, I feel like if we don't see enough detail from our positions that can help us know almost for certain that it's catch fumble, we're still ruling incomplete.
That's a great play.
What we wouldn't want to do, because what happens here is any ruling of a catch fumble can never be overturned in replay with these looks, because you can absolutely stop the play with the ball in the guy's hands and his feet on the ground, right? So, you know, catch fumble is not going to be overturned to incomplete at all. Incomplete could perhaps be overturned to catch fumble depending on a certain threshold. That's not what we're here to say, but catch fumble, in my opinion, there would never be any evidence anywhere in all these looks that it needs to be overturned to incomplete. That's why we can't just say, well, let's just let the ball stay alive.
Right. But I do agree. I mean, I could see this potentially being reversed from incomplete to catch fumble.
I'm fine with that. I mean, that's kind of what happened in our play, and we thought our official was great ruling incomplete on the field.
Right. Yeah.
We had a clear and distinct second act. And if that's what we see here, then we just make that call. And I'm fine with that. You know, we just don't want to say, well, we got to make sure we're making calls for the right reasons. And that's why it's such a great process-oriented discussion.
Really nice job by the H here, not finding that temptation just to shuffle just because, right, and just stay stationary and really just observe all of those. Side judge looks like he's just standing and watching too. Really looks nice.
Hey, by the way, this is 3 minutes and 40 seconds into the season.
Well, baby.
Oh, you know what this feels like, I guess.
I do. So, yeah. I mean, this is tough to make this decision.
The stadium's loud too. I know. Everybody can make fun of Washington State based on what's going around, you know, in conference or whatever. But the stadium's loud, and these people are jacked up, and they should be, right? I mean, this is great college town, great college city. This football game is their first game, so there's a lot of energy flowing in the stadium right now, which can, I don't care who you are, if you'd be lying if it doesn't affect you on the field.
Right.
All right, so we're just going to leave it hanging out there. Are you going to give your decision or what? I mean, you know, we're kind of starting off a little soft here.
No, I'm listening and learning, to be honest, because I feel like Corey and Daniel, when I first saw this, I'm like, this is incomplete. That's easy. But then just listening to what Daniel said about the receiver tucking, turning upfield, surviving the initial contact, to me, that does signify that he maintained firm control of the ball for an element of time long enough to satisfy the process of the catch. So I would like this to be ruled as a fumble, but I don't know how we could get there on the field. Just that would be really difficult. We got to be really good to do that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, guess we approach play one like you approached your roughing the passer. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself.
It's okay.
What do you mean? I don't even know what you mean.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
Oh man, this is too much fun, man.
Are y'all seeing my screen?
Oh, you shared your screen? No.
No, I'm not.
I'm sorry.
Okay, hold on. We're gonna
No.
stop this video.
Let me
The
stop
hell with
this.
this.
Okay. What do you got?
I'm
Come
sure
on,
it's-
dude.
I'm sure it's gonna be great.
Yeah,
Hold on.
it's
First of all, I need to turn this video off.
here we go. We're seeing it.
All right. You see this?
Who's that?
Who's that?
Okay.
Look at where that switch is.
Okay. Hold on. Calm down. Calm down.
Why is that switch?
Calm
pointed
down. Did you see what the referee just
You
did?
just turned it on.
Oh
Yep.
yeah. Okay. I'm that stupid that I turned the switch on.
Dude, you just turned your switch on. If it's on your right hip, up is on.
All right. We're
Unless
done
you
here.
clip it upside down. No, seriously,
done
do you
here.
clip it upside? Do you clip it upside down in your belt?
The defense rest.
You didn't make a
Well,
very
that's it.
compelling argument.
Yeah, pretty easy
Answer the
decision for a
question.
jury.
I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest. When the right hand goes, I can't confirm that it ever flipped anything. I can see
No,
it.
it flipped. It flipped it. He flipped it on. Unless he answers my question, do you clip the switch upside down into your belt?
I'm telling you that I turned the microphone
Wow!
off.
Listen to this.
And I turned the microphone off. You saw me turn it off just now.
I saw you turn it on. You
Okay.
flipped it up.
Okay.
You flipped it.
Probably about 10 seconds after that clip, there was some live chatter that went off over the.
Absolutely
Referee's
not. I
microphone.
can assure you that did not happen.
You heard some Cajun cussing.
Well, next week, if you're correct, next week your microphone switch is going to be different. Just so you know, unless you're going to actually put it on your belt the right way.
All right.
That was a pretty. Speaking of weak, that was a really weak case.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna come with something better than that.
Yeah.
I
John,
showed
this
myself
is-
turn
I
the
really did.
microphone off.
You should yourself turning it on. This is you found this play, and I thought this was an interesting. I don't know what you wanted, just a unique play or mechanics play. Where'd you want to go with this?
Well, we talk about players going to the ground
Oh.
all the time and needing to stay with them. And, do we do that? And here's a situation where we had just a simple running play. And the referee actually, who's obviously a friend of peer officiating and a VSG member, Mr. Kevin Vicknair, he actually stayed with a lineman that went to the ground who ended up raising his. Why did the video not loop? Who ended up raising his foot and tripping an opponent. So just really interesting
Excuse me.
and really good call to see that. Now, from a mechanical standpoint, this is something on the backside of the play. I think I would expect the center judge to have a piece of this action too. Not sure what ended up happening that Vicknair got it, but I guess I can kind of see because everybody slid down to the right and the running back ended up going right there through that hole. But really, this play was just really interesting to show a tripping foul that we don't always see, but we always talk about them. Players going to the ground, watch them, make sure that they don't do anything crazy, and someone did that. And guess what we found? A tripping play.
But this can really surprise you. I mean, especially if you've already transitioned, like maybe the center judge, and I wouldn't fault him for transitioning to 53. We can put up a share and diagram it so we're all on the same page. And then he sees this and he's like, oh my gosh,
Right.
Was that a trip? And maybe on the other hand, the referee kind of had his stuff finished and saw this a little bit clearer, just out of, almost randomly.
Right.
And was able to get it. So it's really
the interesting thing is when we start evaluating these blocks, we find blocks that look really good, and then we look for something else. And this block started out really good, and then number 9 just all of a sudden threw I don't know how in the world number 9 must be the strongest dude in the world. He threw the tackle to the ground like in a split second. But the block initially started as something that looks like really good position. So it'll be really easy to go find something else to work.
Yeah. I think it's, let's see. I was looking at it. There's a good shot from the umpire's angle.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could hear like, wait a second, why shouldn't the umpire see this? But this is a really good mechanic. So if I can bring this up, I'm going to try my best impression of you, which is never a good idea.
I know, because you'll never be able to do it. You just can't do it. Not good enough.
Right. So here we have I don't know what kind of front this is, just a little 3-man front. So everybody's sliding. So we know that, and this is why crew of 8 is really good. So we know we're going to be here, and we are going to be here, right? Don't you agree?
Yeah,
And
I think
we have our lovely triangle that is dynamic and moves with us throughout the play. And we'll prove that wrong here in a second. But so right here, the guy's getting tripped now, right? The guy's getting tripped now. So why wouldn't the umpire see this? It opens up to him because he's looking here.
right there, exactly.
He's looking here. So that's not where he's looking. The center judge is very possibly looking past this, right? Or just got surprised.
Right.
The referee looks like he's kind of focused here. This block's really good. I think he catches this out of kind of his peripheral and recognizes that pattern as a trip. And that's kind of how that works. So obviously, it probably wouldn't be ideal for us to say this is where the referee is primarily looking on this play, since the runner is going to be going out through here. But, these things happen like this, and it's just a pretty good pickup in my mind. So there's really no other issues going on at this exact moment for the referee to be officiating. And I feel like he gets this out of his peripheral, and it's a really nice call.
But also, if you go back, Brandon, just a couple of frames, you can tell the way that this play's set up. The most important block for me, for the referee, if you could quickly see the seal by the right guard, then you would immediately start looking maybe leftward. You see that seal. That's not, you don't even need to worry about that. So I would never, as a referee, then move to my right, further to the outside. I would move further to the inside because someone else is working that. So I'm going to go back to the inside. Well, guess what? The next block is the center, and he's kind of moving towards the second level. So that's not nothing to look at either. So
that's a great point.
Yeah.
I mean, so he's really doing a nice job staying home right here.
Absolutely.
But that gives him the ability to go back here, which is really good officiating.
Yeah.
The thing that we know is if the runner bounces it out wide, we have so much time to transition out to this, what is right here, a very meaningless block. And you already said that that seal block is good. Like we've said to ourselves by now, okay, we're good here. I can look for something else. And that's exactly what the referee did, Mr. Vic Nair. I think it's really good officiating.
Yep.
Pretty cool. So, freeze frame mechanics, which we are a fan of. I mean, it's not always it's not always perfect, right? And we don't ever claim for it to be perfect, but when we're building our foundation of visual mechanics, it's good. When we notice body technique, like you mentioned, the right guard here, that gives us what's really good is when we notice that and can now go work something else.
Yep.
Which means we can check back down inside here because it doesn't appear to be an outside run yet, and we pick up a clear and obvious tripping foul, clear and obvious to this referee, meeting Kevin McNair. Clear and obvious in this moment. Not so clear and obvious all the time. This is a very tough call.
Yep.
Then I was going to ask you, why not a leg whip? Why wouldn't we call a leg whip versus trip? Does it even matter?
First of all, I don't think it matters. But a leg whip will be more of a striking technique. This is a player who just lifted his leg up versus swinging his leg around. But they're both 15-yard penalties anyway.
Yeah. Greg asked if the quarterback would be blocking the center judge's view. You never know. Could be. I don't think so here. I don't think so. I think maybe the center judge checked over to his right, almost like the referee did to his left when he was done. So I just think these things kind of happen, and it's always easy to play the result and say this is what I should have been watching or shouldn't have. But if we can dig into reasons why the referee was able to pick this up, that's why there's 8 of us out there. That's good crew officiating.
Yep.
Nice. All right, anything else?
Nope.
All right, let's go into something that's very much more straightforward in the same game. Okay, this is going to happen again, I suppose, with the poll. So I don't know. I guess we'll watch it and then we'll launch it. Is that cool?
Yeah. Let's do
And
that.
This poll writer,
Oh, the poll writer was busy.
how many coffees did the poll writer have before we wrote this one up? All right, so watch this. Notice everything that's going on. Linemen, receivers, quarterback pass. Umpire has a flag. There's contact. There's all kinds of stuff going on. We even have an incomplete signal. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Okay, we'll launch this now. I just don't know. Boom. Did the same thing happen?
Of course.
I don't like the way you said that. Okay, there is a flag down for IDP. We saw the umpire throw the flag and go behind. How should this be handled? Yeah, I'm not going to read all that.
There's a whole bunch of options. The last one is I don't know, and I probably would guess that that's going to be the one that wins the most votes.
Yeah. So we're talking about a lot of factors. We're talking about the hit to the quarterback. We're talking about the player being more than 3 yards downfield to release. We're talking about receivers in the area. We're talking about the quarterback's intention of where he's trying to throw the ball, right?
Right.
We're talking about that.
Right.
We're talking about, did I say receivers in the area? Don't know. If I didn't, I did now. Wow. We're talking about, where the ball was thrown away near.
Yeah.
Ball thrown away. Huh.
Brandon, on your side, is there a place where you can click to do the poll later or to move the poll to the side? Do you see anything like that?
I don't.
Okay.
So you're telling me it's in the setup options?
Yes.
Okay. I can pop the poll out, but I feel like that's for my screen only.
Try that. See if it pops everyone's poll out.
I popped it.
All right. Yeah, that's just yours.
That's too bad.
No, we'll fix it for next week. Don't worry.
I won't worry at all. Okay, so what are we doing? We're giving people, or should we close it or back to queue it and let us watch the play some more?
Now everybody can digest the options and let us look at the play a couple more times and let people vote.
All right. That's a quirky deal.
No, it's a user error is what it is. It's
Really?
an operator error. That's correct.
Must have come along with that mobile studio.
Yeah.
Must have been one of those options. This would be an awkward feeling, talking about referee, center, judge mechanics. We're bringing two players near the quarterback. The ball comes out like a wounded, wounded duck, I guess. Be kind of awkward. So
All
we
right.
haven't.
Let's go back to the poll.
You want to go back to the poll? Did you
Yeah,
talk about
people. Yeah, we've seen enough.
Okay.
And we're gonna look at it all night long anyway while we're talking about it.
So we're gonna reopen it. I
Let's
guess.
go.
Yeah,
We reopened it. Now it's annoyingly on your screen. Line of scrimmage official signals incomplete. Did you have any opinions on that, or?
Yeah, we actually had a play like this past weekend, and I thought the crew did a really good job. No one ruled on it initially, and that's the way that we need to handle this. Anytime any other official other than the referee or center judge sees a ball that comes out in a very awkward and weird way, please do not just wipe it out as if it's just a normal incomplete pass. Allow the referee to make that ruling. Just everyone else just delay any ruling until it just feels like totally uncomfortable, and then let the referee make a ruling. Because this very easily could be a fumble.
You all right there, DY?
Yeah, sorry. You've got the poll thing, so I could mute myself. Let me vote.
Yeah. Just full of excuses tonight. All right. Oh, sorry. I meant to mute when I said that. All right. This is why polls are so much fun, and we love this. 33% basically say leave the IDP flag down since the quarterback was not legally throwing the ball away near the sideline. Well, then 23% say there's no foul for anything because the quarterback was hit when he was trying to throw the pass. And 21% said pick the flag up since the quarterback's throwing motion was affected and we don't know if he was trying to throw the ball away or not. So is that the same as there's no foul for anything because the quarterback was hit when he was trying to throw the pass?
Ish. Yeah, maybe.
Kind of. Okay, that's all right. That's fun. That makes it fun. So those are kind of the same results, I guess. Maybe a little different pathway there. So let's see. Is there any other? Yeah. No, I'm sorry. 13% said I don't know. 5% are penalizing for intentional grounding, and then 5% are picking the flag up since the ball was thrown away near the sideline. So there's a lot of overlapping options here.
Right.
Each one of them has their own kind of little intricacy, but I feel like the poll writer should have to explain the rest of this play.
Well, first of all, from a mechanical standpoint, we all have to make sure that we do our jobs on every play. And on a play like this, it starts with line of scrimmage official. We already covered it. Please don't wipe this ball out. Don't wipe this out. Next thing, if we turn as a line of scrimmage official or a deep wing, we need to make a judgment whether a receiver was in the area or not. In my judgment, I don't think a receiver is in the area of this pass if it is a pass. So let's make sure that we go through our process, bring this information to the referee. It's not our job as downfield officials to determine, oh, well, the pass was affected by a hit. That's for the referee to determine. It's not our job to determine whether it's a fumble or a pass. That's for the referee to determine. Not our job to determine whether the quarterback was in or out of the pocket. That's for the referee to determine. So the only thing that we need to do as covering officials downfield is bring information. There is no receiver in the area of the pass. And then we can start with the rest of this entire process. Should we go through these one by one, Brandon?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of them overlap. So why don't we just go through it? Is that fair?
Yeah.
So
what is your judgment on receiver in the area? Well, I'll ask Corey that because he's a downfield official.
yeah, there we go.
Corey.
I see this come. I do not have him in the area. But then again, I don't know if it's a pass yet either. So I'm not really doing anything until I get something from you all up, in the backfield. But I would not have this guy in the area.
Okay, so are you looking for me to?
Point.
Yes. So what are you looking for me to do? You're trying to see if I'm going to wipe it out, or what am I going to do?
Correct. I want to see if you have this as a fumble or a pass. I need to know that, number one, because if I see a ball come out like this, and I should have an idea that it's fluttering away like that, I need to know what I assume there was some type of contact with the quarterback, which that could be from behind. He could have popped defender could have popped the ball out of the passer's hand. He could have been hit while he was throwing. But either way, I don't know if this is a pass or not.
Okay, well, I'm whistling incomplete. I'm looking around. Nobody's doing anything, thankfully, on the crew. And now I'm whistling incomplete. And then we see a flag on the ground. Now what are you going to do?
I would not deem this receiver to be in the area.
Okay, so you're coming to me and saying I don't have a receiver in the area.
Correct.
Okay. Whew.
And at the same time, the umpire's coming to you saying, I got the guard or whoever it was, left guard number 78, I think is his number, downfield.
Yeah.
IDP. I got IDP.
So now I'm scratching my head.
So I'm the umpire saying I got IDP. Corey is the side judge saying there's nobody in the area.
Right. So
the line of scrimmage might come in and say the ball landed near the sideline.
Right. So the part with Corey coming in is really easy because then when Corey brings that information, I'm going to say, all right, cool. Thank you, Corey. Appreciate it. But the quarterback was hit. So his throw was affected. So
perfect. I'll say peace out. Good luck.
Yeah.
Right.
So immediately intentional grounding is off. because
Yes.
this quarterback's throwing motion was affected. He started his throwing motion prior to the contact by the defense, and the contact by the defense affected his throwing motion. So whatever happened with the pass, we're going to buy him off of it by the contact from the defense.
Perfect.
So we can just scratch that intentional grounding off. We're not having intentional grounding on this particular play.
Right. Now, here's what we don't want to say, though. That's not the same as him legally grounding the ball.
Correct.
Or in layman's, or in slang, not layman's slang, him throwing the ball away. That's not what this
Correct.
is.
Correct.
So I think there is a national written philosophy about calling IDP versus not, and it has to do with what?
It's not a philosophy. It's actually in the rule book.
What's in the rule book?
That's correct. Hold on. Keep talking, Brandon.
Yeah, it's
as I
something
search my
about
rule
you
book.
don't penalize IDP if the quarterback legally grounds the ball near the sideline.
That's correct.
Now, does that mean the ball is near the sideline or the pass is released near the sideline? That leaves it a little bit, up for interpretation.
Sure. I interpret that as the pass went near the sideline or out of bounds. I don't interpret that as the passer being near the sideline or out of bounds.
Well, you can only legally ground the ball from out of the pocket. That's literally the only, or get somebody
or get a receiver in the area. Yeah.
Right, but I mean, that's not what they're. Yeah, okay.
You're probably right though. You're probably right because
I think they got to throw the ball away. I think what they're trying to say is simply just go back to just watching football. He threw it away.
Yeah.
He threw it away from out.
Yeah,
He threw it away out near the sideline, right, Daniel?
Right. Yeah, it's in the philosophies. It's not a rule.
Yeah.
It just says if the passer is legally throwing the ball away and it lands near or beyond the sideline, do not penalize the offense for having ineligible players downfield.
Oh, well, there you go. So actually, it references the ball with
Correct.
the pronoun it.
Correct.
We're not trying to get into all that other stuff that's going on right now, but
Easy.
the ball is an it. So
on FR 84, Rule 7 dash 3 dash 10, players is the IDP rule and the exception to the rule. Obviously, you cannot be more than 3 yards downfield when a legal forward pass crosses the neutral zone. Blah 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 blah. The exception to the rule is what Daniel just read. If the passer is legally throwing the ball away and the ball lands near or beyond the sideline, is the exception to
in the rule
ineligible downfield rule. In the rule book, that's a rule.
Hey, man,
correct.
You got one right tonight. You got one right. That's the first one.
interesting.
Perfect. Good job, dude.
That's the second one I got right, and I'll cue up the video again if you need. me to.
Perfect. We don't need to watch you.
That's
put the
interesting that
microphone
that's
on.
in the rule book and the philosophies.
I know, which is
Well,
weird,
it
right?
bled in. It started in the philosophies. It bled into the rule book, which is really good.
Yeah, but it's still in the
really-
2022 philosophies. It's interesting.
Yeah, because nobody's edited it or whatever. So that's awesome.
Maybe
So, but
dismissive.
the key word, right, is throwing the ball away, and then the secondary key word
throwing the
is
ball away.
near or
Beyond
I don't
the
know what it
sideline.
says beyond the
Near
sideline.
or
So the
beyond
ball's
the
got to land near the sideline. The ball lands near the sideline.
Correct.
But again,
it does.
okay, so now we got to say, is he throwing the ball away?
Right.
Okay, good. So it's a two-part exception. The ball lands near the sideline, no question. It does. Is he throwing the ball away?
Ugh.
No. He's
No
in
way.
the pocket.
I know. I
You
don't
don't-
think he is. Right.
No,
That's
I
a good
mean, you
point.
can't-
You're right.
You
No.
can't throw the ball away from the pocket.
Well,
really.
you can.
I mean,
Stop
you
saying you can't
can.
throw the ball away from the pocket. You can.
But That's true. You can airmail the guy, and you're right. You
You're right.
can,
But that's not what he's doing here.
that's not what
He's
he's
stepping
doing.
up and throwing a pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do we arrive at the decision to keep the IDP flag down or not? Because I'm not even convinced what's right yet.
I'm not convinced what's right either. I think I would just we're not supposed to judge intent. We never do. well, I don't want to use the word never, but in this case,
Yeah,
it's as I'm watching this play, it's pretty obvious the quarterback is trying to throw a legal pass, a legal forward pass. He's not getting rid of the ball.
Yeah. Guess what else? This guy being more than 3 at the release draws the linebacker in towards the middle of the field and perhaps takes away the linebacker's ability to go make an interception. I'm not saying he can or not, but the linebacker absolutely reacts to a guy being illegally downfield.
Right.
So now, look, guess what else on that topic? It's very hard to understand that in the moment at all from anybody's position, right? Maybe the umpires. But somebody's got to take over right now on this crew and say whether or not we're picking this flag up, or are we staying with it? I'm curious. I don't know how that happens, and I want to figure that out right now. I want to figure that out tonight.
I can tell you who's going to take over. The person with the white hat on who's going to turn that microphone on, even though people claim they don't turn the microphone on. That's the person that's going to take over and make a decision.
Okay, but
hopefully that person has all the information that they need.
Good point. So you're going to make the decision, but you got to have a lot of information.
I got to have all the information correct to make the correct decision.
Yeah. So the ball came out awkwardly, which you already know, but you're already ruling pass. The passer was affected. Now, I mean, is he under duress in terms? I know he's under pressure, but is he under duress in terms of he's trying to throw the ball away to avoid a sack? No, he's not.
I don't think so.
He's under pressure, but this is kind of a time and go route, right?
Yeah.
So defense makes a great play. I just don't think this fits that exception to the rule because he's not throwing the ball away. So if he's not throwing the ball away, then I think we still have IDP, if indeed it's IDP.
I'm there as well, Brandon. Just watch. This play was a really, really difficult play to process all of those different elements because it's really easy to go down the intentional grounding route. It's really easy to just wave this off, no IDP. It's really easy to do a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
I think the first thing is, though, we all got to do our jobs and bring information that we have.
Oh, totally. I mean, this is just, I don't know. I still am unsure of how this decision-making is going to go other than just the umpire comes in and says, look, he's more than 3 downfield. I don't know if the umpire knows he drove the linebacker in. Probably not, honestly. Line of scrimmage official, what's he going to say? Maybe where the ball landed.
Absolutely.
Ball landed near the sideline. Okay, cool. Well,
Right.
we know that. Referee, we got to put this we got to replay all this in our mind. This is just a simple drop back pass. He's really not under duress. He throws it. He gets hit after his throwing motion started. That affects the flight of the ball. So we're not going to rule ING, but that doesn't mean we kick into this other exception of him throwing the ball away. So,
Right.
I mean, it could, but it doesn't on this play, in my mind, because of the quarterback's body language of just a simple couple steps, and then he's going to throw this go route. It gets affected. I still think we have IDP, and I think we stay with it.
I think I agree with that.
I've never seen this play.
Yeah, I do too.
So let me ask you this. If we put this inside 1 minute, this is where it could get dangerous if we start thinking intentional grounding, because now we can start talking about a 10-second runoff. And it's really easy for us to say intentional grounding if we're not strong enough with judging this passer being affected or the direction of the pass being affected. Like, just think if we have a really strong deep wing who comes in and who's quote unquote our rules guy on the crew, and he come in really strong. Man, I don't have anybody in the area. That's intentional grounding. If we're not confident enough as a referee, we could start just like thinking, you know what, maybe that is intentional grounding. So it's really, we really have to evaluate our own individual aspects of the play and then come together with all that information. And then I think as the referee, you ask Brandon who's going to make this ultimate call. The referee just has to be strong enough and put all that information together, make a decision, and move on.
Yeah. Yeah. So it gets down to the point where if you, in your mind, you see him as displaying body language of trying to throw the ball away or not, because he does get the ball to the sideline. And that's what it's a two-part exception. So that was really a good wordsmithing exercise to understand that. Are you ready for a twist on this play?
Let's do it. Let's put a twist on it.
All right, here we go. We've got IDP.
Okay.
The defense affected the throw, right?
Yep.
Okay. What if they touched the pass back there?
Oh, then by rule,
That's another
the
judgment.
pass did not cross. Well,
The neutral zone.
hopefully our replay officials are not at the buffet line getting their prime rib and all that other stuff.
Well,
Hopefully they're ready to
it's a 7-point game, 8-point game in the fourth quarter.
Well, they might be getting dessert. They get lunch at halftime, and then they get
What
dessert
time does
in
the
the fourth
dessert
quarter.
come out up there? I mean,
Right.
but that's interesting. So if we have a tip signal by somebody,
Yes.
that would actually take IDP off, because then by rule the ball has not crossed the neutral zone. That's, I believe, in Rule 2 somewhere, maybe in Rule 7, probably both. So you got to have a pass that crosses the neutral zone to have IDP, don't you?
Yeah, that's correct.
So if the defense touches this pass back there near the quarterback as part of affecting the throw, that is not IDP. So that's another way that we could actually end up having nothing on this play, right?
Yes, and I think 5 yards matters here at this point in the field. I would hope that would be considered a competitive effect, that replay would stop it if they have indisputable visual evidence that the ball was tipped after the quarterback released it.
8-point game, 1-score game, 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. I think half a yard matters. I'm exaggerating to make a point, but we're at the 27-yard line. So kicking them back to the 32, yeah, I mean, if they get a field goal here, that's a 2-score game. So that's a much different than a 1-score game. I think that's competitive. That's significantly competitive.
Right.
Or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
That's such a cool play.
Oh, absolutely. And then if replay has indisputable visual evidence that it wasn't even a pass, it was a fumble, then we got to go back. We got to take this IDP back off too.
Correct. And then what do we do then? That's a great point. So this is a fumble. He tipped the ball.
Fumble out of bounds.
Forward fumble out of bounds. So you don't take it to the previous spot. It really almost turns back into ING in a way, right? Because it's loss of down at the spot of the foul, which is exactly the same thing as a forward fumble. But clock Nazis are going to get on me for that, because we're going to have a different clock status, which is ready for play on a forward fumble out of bounds.
Yep.
That's correct.
A lot of different ways this play could go.
Yeah, and we all have to. I mean, I know I've said it 100 times, but we all have to do our jobs on this play.
I mean, here's another twist, just mechanically communicating on the field. Andy was really good about communication, and so was Chris last month. So line judge signals incomplete, but referee says, dude, that was a fumble, man. That guy knocked that ball out of his hand. He pushed the loose ball forward. What happened to the ball? And hopefully the line of scrimmage official or like Corey downfield could say, look, that ball went right out of bounds. If that's a fumble, we just need to honor that as a forward fumble out of bounds. It's not that we're ignoring signals. It's that we're just making a different judgment, right?
Right. Exactly. Whew. That was a good play.
It was a great.
Yeah, I got to catch my breath after that one. Let's go into blindside blocks. So this was, the data was shared with us that blindside blocks became our, one of our trouble spots here now that it's been a rule. So this play is poster child, and there's two, right? There's two. So this is a classic kind of reverse action field. You've got big number 66 coming in, and then number 7. So take a look at these blocks. And, I don't know if anybody would argue the merits of these as fouls, but you guys look at them and let me know what you think. So what are we talking about?
Well, we talk about multiple things with number 66's block.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
56. Is that 56 or
56.
56.
Yeah, 56.
So,
Mercy.
right. So we got to be outside the field of vision and then basically attacking with force. And if so, if the force in our judgment rises to the level of illegal blindside block, then it becomes a foul based on the rule change a few years ago. But you're right. I mean, we have a lot more to talk about with really both of those blocks, don't we?
Yeah. Well, let's start here because we always say, well, the player didn't go to the ground. That kind of tells me if it was forcible or not. Well, the player that number 56 blocked did not go to the ground. Does that automatically take off illegal blindside block for?
Good point.
Say that again.
Well, the player that number 56 blocked, he didn't go to the ground. And I've heard people say if the player doesn't go to the ground that got blocked, then the blocker probably wasn't a forcible block.
Yeah, just because a guy's strong and doesn't go down, that means it's not forcible. I don't buy that.
I've heard people say that. So I was just wondering what our thoughts were on that.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly, like most things, we don't want to have those kind of absolutes where we make determinations based
Right.
upon one thing. I think it's oftentimes a piece of the puzzle and going to help you as an indicator when you really got to decide whether it's forcible or not. But I absolutely agree. That's not just an absolute. We can't just stop officiating. Well, he didn't go to the ground, so it must not be forcible.
Right.
That process isn't going to be very helpful.
Okay, good. Poor umpire. The umpire is man. Umpire didn't
bullets.
officiate one thing on that after that ball got reversed, which is understandable.
that's
Yes,
that's
yeah,
rush
yeah.
hour. So yeah, I mean, look, 56 buries the crown of his helmet into the guy's helmet, basically, in my estimation. There's a lot of attacking going on, so that's probably targeting on its own.
Yes.
Do you see that as an illegal blindside block if perhaps he was able to avoid the crown of the helmet hit?
Well,
That's
that's a great question.
Okay, good. Well, keep thinking about it. We can come back to it.
Because-
we're gonna do. Go ahead.
Well,
We're
I mean,
going to do 3 more plays with similar types of actions, and we're going to put polls around them, which is going to be interesting. Well, the polls are simple.
That'll
so
be
that's-
exciting.
Yeah. All right, so we can come back to it maybe. Let's come back to this play a little bit later, and let's do the next one. Here we go. All right. Ooh, Fargo.
Bison. Fargo.
Yeah.
Wait, they're
Okay, so-
losing? What are they doing losing?
No, yeah, that didn't last, I'm sure. I don't even know. But watch, this is number 73.
Oh,
So
really?
we want that to loop. And then we're going to talk about, is it outside the field of vision? And is he attacking with force that rises to the level of illegal blindside block? So we're going to have the poll. I'm not going to put the poll up yet because I kind of like people to watch. But we're looking at number 73. These plays are crazy when they change field. And this is a theme, I think, that we're going to see.
Yes. That's a good point, Brandon. We got to find stuff to work when the players change direction like this, and it's really easy to do that. I know y'all hear us talk about the smooth pursuit versus saccade. It's really easy to smooth pursuit where you're just sweeping your eyes slowly across the field, looking at all of the action, which means you probably evaluate none of the action, versus jumping from one spot to another with your vision and your focus to evaluate different pieces of the action.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's remember number 56's block from the previous play, but then let's use this poll. This is going to be interesting. I know the poll pops up, and I apologize, but again, so it's we're evaluating number 73's block here. We can go back to 56's in a second, but here we're trying to processize this foul, right? So does he block from outside the opponent's field of vision? And then is he attacking with forcible contact that rises to the level of a foul or not? And that's just basically the decisions we have to make unless I'm missing something. This is great. Now I kind of want to look up the final score. I didn't even realize when I was looking at this that they were losing at this point in the game. Of course, it's midway through the first quarter. That's they're not used to losing up there. You know that.
No, they don't lose at all up there.
All right, so
They won 56-14.
Perfect. Those us proud South Dakotans, I mean, we like to beat them. Doesn't happen very often, but
In what?
Well, we beat them in football recently, I think. But anyways, it's kind of cool to see a team with the name Dakota doing well. Even though it's the wrong state. Although South Dakota State was in the national championship a couple years ago. It's not dumb.
Did you say they won? They won the national
They
championship.
were in the national championship.
Oh, I thought you said they won. I thought
Lost
you
the
were being
starting
delusional. Or something.
lost the starting quarterback, right? Remember that? That was,
Oh, I thought you
spring
mentioned
football.
that Daniel was making excuses. Now it sounds like you on an excuse train.
Yeah.
That was a good game. All right, enough of that.
Sam Houston's the Bearcats.
Yeah, how they do this weekend.
Look at Big 56. I love Big 56 on this
Oh,
play
yeah.
in white. He's motoring.
Oh, I know, man. By the way, Drake is a non-scholarship Division I school.
No
That's
way.
awesome. Yes,
I worked at Drake.
Look at 56. Look at him.
I know. That's hustle, dude.
That is.
That's full go for him. Yeah.
That is hustle. 13. No. What am I looking at? 59% said the blocker blocks from outside the opponent's field of vision and attacks making forcible contact that rises to the level of illegal blindside block. That's 59%. 18% said it's attacking with forcible contact, but it's within the opponent's field of vision. So that's, they're basically saying, I'm not calling this because it's within the opponent's field of vision, even though it's certainly attacking with forcible contact.
Yeah, we should talk about that before this is all over.
Let's do it. So that's why I put this up. And then I'm trying to do the Luxner math. I can't remember how that works. Let's see. 68% said it's from outside the opponent's vision.
Correct.
32% said it's not outside the opponent's vision.
Correct.
That's interesting. And then 23% said it's not forcible.
Correct.
What?
And
Yeah,
77%.
77% said it's attacking with forcible contact that rises to the level of BSB. So is this attacking this player with force? I think it is. I mean, I get it. Like that, you can attack with force, and that's part of football. But I think he's pretty much lowering the boom on this player, right?
It's forcible.
It's forcible. Okay. I hear what you're saying. What about the vision part of it? So you can talk about 10-2 if you want. You can talk, which is the the waist rule of old. You can talk about. I think the rule actually says outside of the opponent's vision. So,
Well,
how do you evaluate that?
okay, so that's a great question. So let me ask this question. Let me answer your question with a question. What does it look like practically? What are we judging when we talk about field division? What is the practical application of that? What do we?
So I believe it's the focus of the player receiving the block.
Correct.
I agree, but then I would say even that's still a little bit interpretive or
Because it's
derivative.
dynamic.
Whereas that practical application, I believe, and this is in the rule as well, really practically what we need to ask ourselves, I feel like, is does he have the opportunity to defend himself? And then when you work backwards from there, that's where your next step is, okay, well, where's his area of focus? Because if we get stuck on this field division, we've all worked with guys who have this very innate skill to be super technical about like the language to avoid calling a foul or making something a foul. So for me, and this, maybe it's just better for me to preface this and say, this is the way I conceptualize it best is, does the blockee have the opportunity to defend himself? That's helpful for me. Let me say it like that.
So that's a proxy for field of vision. So then what do you see on display with that in mind?
Say that again.
I mean, what I'm saying is what you just said is kind of a proxy, a really good practical proxy for the rule, that part of the rule. So what do you see on this specific example with that in mind?
Oh, I see B2 have no idea that A73 is coming for his lunch.
Okay. So then the first part of it is more leaning towards a foul.
Yeah.
What about this whole attacking and with force component?
So I would say, let me also preface, when you look at that kind of low end zone from the defensive point of view, he picks him up about an eyelash before maybe contact. And so then you have to make that determination. Again, for me, that's not enough time for you to properly defend yourself. And then I think the block is absolutely forcible. I mean, 73 smokes him, in my opinion.
Tuta, is this a guy getting P-laid or no?
Oh, he got P-laid. Oh, absolutely.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was a P-laid.
Blast from the past.
So
then,
what about can we say, how do I verbalize this? Is it possible that these are two players that just happen to be in the same place at the same time? Like, is 73 lining this dude up, or is 73 just running downfield looking for somebody to block, and all of a sudden this dude just appeared in front of him and he just hit the dude?
I mean, maybe, but here's the thing. He doesn't do anything that shows any type of that to me that he's absorbing the contact.
Uh-huh.
You can be at the same place, but is he bracing down? Is he doing anything? No, he's trying to run right through him.
Yeah. Okay.
I get what you're saying that, you're going to have collisions like that, but I think that he has a chance to he sees it lining up. I think he 100% can see that lining up, even if it's only for 4 or 5 yards. That's a long time for athletes of this caliber, in my opinion.
Right. Okay. I'm good with that.
I think that's a good consideration, though, something we need to be willing to think about, Tuta. We talked about a play. We kicked a play back and forth a little bit. I think it was last week that I think that may potentially apply to. So I say all that just to say that's worth considering. Like, is he actually blocking him, or is he just running down the field like a big oof and just accidentally murders somebody?
Yeah, because he was going horizontal, and then just like he took a couple steps forward, and the dude was right there. And I agree with Corey. He didn't make any attempt to try to absorb the contact.
Well, no, and he even like finishes him. Like you can see him lean into him, drop that shoulder, and really try to get his money's worth.
Yeah. All right. So sorry, Brandon. Go ahead. So what was the first consideration?
Good. Okay, so I mean, I think then that if we look at the poll, so outside the opponent's field of vision, Daniel broke that down nicely, right? And was more detailed with it, and then he got P-laid. So it seems like we're making this call from using this process.
Sounds like a yes.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree.
All right. Here we go. This is going to be out here. This is okay. See, this is kind of why I wanted to talk about what I just asked. This is obviously the point of attack block here at the numbers that springs this runner down, and I think he eventually scores, even though the video cuts off, but that doesn't really matter. So what do you guys see here? Because this player is somewhat blocking another player, and then he kind of gets his sight set on this guy coming in and lights his you-know-what up. So Wow, this to me is really interesting. How do we evaluate this? Do we need the same process or do we need to use anything different?
Man, we talked about this play on our crew last week for like 40 minutes, and we never came to a consensus.
This is so unique.
Yeah, it is very unique. Like, I mean, it's like Tucho was talking earlier, two guys colliding. I mean, this is if there's ever an example that's exactly that, this is pretty darn close. I mean, I still think we want to use some of the same process that we've just discussed. But, man, the guy that's coming off a block, he sees another dude running full speed at him, and to me, it looks like he's just kind of bracing for contact. What else do you want the guy to do? To me, the thing that I see at the end is that the raising of the forearm, which, okay, do you have to do that? But at the same time, I can't come up with what else this blocker should do differently. I really can't. And so I'm open to discussion on that.
Well, he can praise block. He can easily praise block. He can shield him. There's a lot of things he can do differently.
Let me say this. I want you guys to keep fighting. I'm going to say this. If you watch this, the more and more you watch this, the easier it is to talk yourself into this is a foul.
Sure.
Because of the violent collision. So I want to be careful with that. But now I'd like you guys to keep fighting.
Yeah. So we say that he could do this or do that, but I think Corey's point is a little bit, and I'm very torn, so I'm not convicted where I'm ready to fight too much. But I think Corey's point was he doesn't really have a choice to do anything because there's no intent to block 25 at all, but rather all of a sudden there's a player in front of him and he's just kind of bracing for a collision that he did not pursue or desire at all. And he just ends up kind of winning the deal. And like, I can't really argue that, but at the same time, there's just right before contact, there's a little bit of a load up.
Yep.
Just because there's another plane coming towards me. Like, what am I supposed to do? And I don't know. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
this is the one I was thinking of, Tuta, when we were talking about the 73 just run him over by accident and doesn't know it's there. This is very close to that. Right.
Like you see a guy, I mean, you come off an engagement, Tuta, and you look up and you see another dude running straight at you. I don't think any player is going to have the presence of mind to, I'm just going to put my hands up and praise block him and just get P-laid myself. Your natural tendency is to crouch down and protect yourself. And I think, it's unfortunate for the Hawaii athlete here because he that's P-laid.
He's P-laid.
Yeah, I mean, but that's just a big dude on a small dude.
Okay, well, so let's go back into the poll kind of verbiage. So, and then expound on it like Daniel did. So outside of the field of vision, which we said ability to protect himself, and then I can't remember what other detail we used, which is really good. So obviously I know what it was. 25's focus is on the runner, no question, right? 25's focus really isn't on this blocker, but the blocker is tied up with another guy. So we can understand perhaps why, but I don't know if that absolves the blocker or not. Okay, it's certainly forcible. So it's interesting to me that 25 is not focused on this blocker. His area of focus is otherwise. He really can't defend himself from this. There's a lot of force, but I'm kind of like leaning with you that I don't really like this as a foul. So why? I mean, doesn't it meet all the requirements of the rule?
Well, so where it would not for me, if I landed there, and again, I think I could be swayed. I'd really like someone to make a case for it as a foul because I just like to hear that articulated. But where I would catch it relative to the rule, Brandon, is I know it looks like, a block when they collide, but in my mind, he's really not blocking 25. He just runs into him. Like they just run into each other. And so that's where, from a technical definition perspective, where I would be able to say this is why it doesn't meet the standard, in my opinion.
Well, then it's pretty easy by rule that if you judge, what you're saying is you're judging there's really no attack element here. I mean, the rule talks about attacking. So if he doesn't block him, if it's just a collision, I know he lowers his shoulder to protect himself. If there's no block, there's no attack, I think.
Sure. Really and also if there's no block, there's no blindside block.
Right.
Totally.
But it's really hard for me to say he's not blocking this player.
Yeah.
That was just really difficult for me. Whether he saw it, whether he was bracing, whether he was doing whatever, it's really difficult for me to say that this dude did not block number 25.
I just feel like and I know what you're saying. I do, because I know what the definition of block is in Rule 2. But when I think about block from a football perspective, like I have to pursue you to block you. I have to want to block you. That sounds weird. Desire to block you.
That's the water boy, isn't it? Didn't the water boy say that?
That is,
Mr. Coach Klein said, I would like to block him.
I think
Is that a movie?
quoted the water boy.
Is that a music video? What is that?
All right, Brandon.
What? Somebody
He,
mute him,
I know.
please.
Permanently mute him.
So, Tuta, I feel like you want to lean towards this being a foul, and I can't
Yes.
say that that's incorrect. So just help us understand, like get us on your level.
I don't have much to say other than I just see
Other than
him.
your crew just likes throwing flags for fun.
Whoa!
What does that have to do? This is me.
Well, I mean, you're the leader. You set the tone. That wasn't not intended to be like this big personal attack. I was just saying in general, you operate in a flag happy environment. So it makes sense that you would want this to be a foul.
How many fouls did your crew have this past weekend, Daniel?
I'm not accounting.
What does that have to do with this play?
Oh, I'm just defending myself. That's all. I was attacked from the blind side. I was attacked from the blind side.
You
Forcibly.
You need a new defense attorney. You have not been very good tonight.
Well, I'm just proving a point that Daniel's crew threw more flags than Salam's crew. That's
also,
the only point I was proving.
You also flipped your microphone on, so let's get back on task.
All right. Anyway, so I just see a player delivering a forceful block, and the fact that he dropped his shoulder and kind of went through the player tells me that it was attacking. So that's the reason why I have this as a foul. But I'm 52% that it's a foul. And I could easily be going right back down on the other side of 50% to not throw the flag. I know what everybody's gonna say. Oh, you have to be 100% when you throw your flag. I get it. I know that. But I'm just saying my opinion of this as a foul.
That was a pretty good dismissive type of voice you did there towards everybody. Yeah, I like that. That was your second good call tonight. So what do we do then? I mean, do we need to check all the boxes of a process approach, or do we just call big hits when it looks like, this defender kind of got surprised? Because I don't know. I mean, I know that it's kind of an inconsistent foul category for us right now, and I was hoping to process size around it, but I'm not sure I'm doing a great job on that. So
this is just a really hard one, Brandon. It really is. I know that's not really what we're here for. Part of me wants to wonder out loud is just given the impetus for this rule and kind of the logic behind its origin, we never want to go to that place where we're not evaluating all the elements, but in a case like this where it's just really difficult, are we better off just being lazy? And maybe not better off is not the right word. Are we more consistent saying, well, he couldn't protect himself and he dang near got murdered, so we can go ahead and make this a foul and nobody's going to be too upset about it?
Yeah.
I don't feel good about saying
I know. I fear that perhaps we're kind of going that way.
We hear that all the time.
Right.
Even in clinics.
You're right. I mean, that would honestly probably improve our consistency. So I'm not sure I'm gonna. I don't feel like we're ending on a high note here, but interesting. I mean,
are you convicted one way or the other? Because you've got three of us who are
really not.
Yeah, so we just
I'm really not. I understand why if somebody looked at this in real time. Again, I watch this over and over, and I can talk myself into a foul easily, right? I mean, the more I see it, the more I think it's a foul because it's like, dude, that guy, golly, he gets decleated. But I see this guy coming off a block, and I don't really see him going through the defender. Like, I mean, I know that he kind of gets – it's just a really interesting collision in the game of football where it's kind of like every action what's that Newton's law? Michael Billick is a physics teacher.
Oh, you're just going to butcher it. Don't do that.
For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And this is just kind of a dude that they collide. He does block him, by the way. He sees him and blocks him. I don't think this is incidental.
It's not incidental only in the sense that when we watch from this angle right here, this sideline view, there is one step from the time he disengages to 23 where he looks up.
Yeah.
And there is a player dressed in all black about to murder him. So if he doesn't, it's not blocking in the sense that I'm going to block this player to obstruct him to protect my ball carrier. It's a collision that's about to happen, and I have no recourse other than to protect myself. Yeah. So I think about it is really interesting in the sense of, to me, we talk about defense having the opportunity to defend himself. Really, if anything, the defense is going towards him, pursuing him, and he has a blink of an eye to defend himself, and that's really what creates the hit more than anything.
You know what
I think about? Does he have the opportunity to defend himself, which is super weird.
You know what is interesting is he is almost set in his space. Yep. And when we talk about a lot of different concepts, like especially around OPI, right? If there's players who are set have a right to their territory. So if the defense is set, the offense can't just drive through that defender. If the offense is set and turns, he can set basically a legal pick, right? I mean, if he's turning and he's set and the defense runs into him, that's a legal pick. I mean, this is damn near, if I'm not way out of line here, this is a guy that has 2 feet on the ground coming off that block, like you said, and this is just a collision that looks huge, and that's it. I don't know if that's a good analogy or not.
No, I like it. I like it.
Because he doesn't – I mean, this is not him lining this guy up, man.
No.
This is – that's different. But I can buy it, say, well, could he have done something different? Well, I don't know. I mean – for 22 years of this guy's life, he's been coached to lower his shoulder, right? I don't know.
I love this play. This is so cool.
Hey, we need to go back to the Syracuse play because we need to finish discussing that.
Oh, because we did such a good job coming to closure on this one.
We don't have to come to closure. We just discussed it. People could do what they want to do. They just hear opinions and make their own decisions.
Since when is closure our business?
Good point. Good point. Okay, here we go. Is this the play?
This is the play.
Oh, yeah, Syracuse is on defense. So if we attempt to processize this foul, that's my new favorite word.
It's not even a word.
I was going to say, I'm not sure it's a word.
It's a really good word. 56. So from everything we've just discussed, take the crown of the helmet out. Okay, see the difference? By the way, you look at this play compared to the last play, it's a huge difference. He is seeking him out.
Absolutely.
Seeking him out.
Go.
Golly.
So take the crown out.
Take the crown out. Make the call. Or don't. It's up to you.
What about if the shoulder goes to the head? Take the helmet totally out. What about the shoulder to the head?
Yeah, so if it's
same thing,
it's really just the same thing because it has to be you almost have, in my mind, you almost have to have a blindside block, which creates a defenseless player to then have targeting for a shoulder to the head, right?
Correct. I agree.
Well, so that's interesting. I was thinking about that earlier when we were talking about this. Yeah, because so if we don't have a foul can replay come back and say, or we should not do that? Should we not do that? Is that not?
We can do anything.
Well, I just wonder,
like
would we
9:30
replay come back and say,
I don't know
you
what time it is Central Time, but
It's late.
it's late.
Can replay come in and say, well, that's not Crown, but he's defenseless. Why is he defenseless? He's defenseless as a function of being a player who's receiving a blindside block. So now they're putting on targeting, but they're really also putting on blindside block.
No, they're not. They're just putting on targeting.
Yeah, they are, but they're only doing it because he's receiving a blindside block.
So
Which makes him defenseless. They're
Correct.
classifying their
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, let me ask you this: can you have? So Daniel, I guess what you're saying is you cannot have targeting for contacting a defenseless player in the head or neck area forcibly that is not also an illegal blindside block.
Correct.
Okay.
Because he's not he's defenseless as a function of receiving that blindside block. That's what creates him, makes
Correct.
him defenseless by rule.
Correct,
Yeah.
but all blindside blocks are not illegal.
Correct. That's true.
correct.
Good point.
So, in other words, if the force of the hit doesn't rise to the level of blindside block, it's very unlikely,
He could
even though
never-
he's defenseless, it's very unlikely to rise to the level of targeting.
So it couldn't be targeting if it's a legal blindside block, right?
Okay.
Well,
I
golly, hate to
don't
say
know.
absolutes, but
Unless
it
with
would
the
be really,
crown,
really
but,
hard.
I would think that's rare, man. I think that
That would be a unicorn. That's simultaneous
would be
possession.
unicorn. Simultaneous possession.
Okay, so when we see that action by number 56, then when we see that on the field, then we need to automatically say personal foul targeting with personal foul illegal blindside block with targeting.
Well,
I think
No,
on the
hang
field
on.
you do. Well, it doesn't matter because replay can put the targeting on.
well, it does matter.
Well, it
because
does
we gotta
matter
make-
because
we
need
gotta
to
You
make
want to
good
be good.
calls.
You want to be good enough, Daniel.
So
No, absolutely. Totally agree.
Well, look, if you have this as a crown shot only to somebody who is being blocked within their field of vision,
Oh, that's
Well,
very-
yeah, we ain't talking about
that's
that.
crown only. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm not talking about that. I'm
Absolutely.
not talking
Okay.
about crown.
Okay.
I'm talking about only forcible contact to the head and neck area.
He's got it's got to be a blindside block, right?
That's what I'm asking.
Uh,
It does. He's not defenseless otherwise, by definition. He's got to be. It's got to be. That's what makes him
Well,
defenseless.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I agree with that. Yes.
Of course.
Yeah, it's first got to be a blindside block, and then if it's to the head and neck, it is also targeting. I agree with that because he's defenseless. That's what Daniel just said.
Well,
But it's interesting though. What's interesting to me is
I
that
don't know how else you could think about it.
you can't. I don't. Well, never mind. I just think it's interesting. Like when from a replay perspective to come in and make that.
Yeah, I think so. For the people in the chat, we're crossing streams of a million what ifs right now.
Yeah,
too.
so
So
sorry.
if we just look at this play, do you guys think does this rise to the level of blindside block? So the force does. That's a bad question. Does the player receiving the block, can he defend himself from this? Is it within his field of vision? Blah blah blah. That first component.
I think it. Are we still voting?
Yeah. Well, we're voting, just talking.
Oh, okay. It's closed. Well, is this? Oh, we didn't have the poll up for this one, did we?
No, this was our first play, and we were just looking
knew
at
that.
these vicious blocks
Vicious.
with the player changing field, basically.
Yeah. I mean, for my money, this is the defender doesn't have an opportunity to protect himself, and it is forcible. I like this.
Yeah, I got it.
It's one of the very few ones where you're going to see a guy just get rocked. I mean, this dude's got a chin, my man, because he gets rocked and he just stays on his feet. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. So then, if this was so, I guess what we're saying, if everything was the same, but it was shoulder to chest, with everything the same, it's still illegal blindside block.
Yeah.
And if we now going back to what we see here, if we see this, we're going to call, based on what we just said, we're going to call illegal blindside block with targeting.
Yeah.
Okay. If we see this on the field.
And that's why this one is so interesting to me, because it is conceivable that somebody sees this block and says, that's not forcible enough to rise to the level of a foul. Hopefully we're not just making it so simplified that it's because he didn't go to the ground, but whatever, we've evaluated it. And then that could be the on-field determination, and replay could come in and say, well, this is targeting, and it's targeting because he's defenseless, and he's defenseless. Well, if it's not Crown, right? We're talking 914. And it's targeting because he's defenseless, and he's defenseless because he's received a blindside block. That's really interesting to me.
All right, what about number 7?
Yeah,
So that's the classic.
That was pretty easy,
Yeah.
right?
That's the
poster child.
classic illegal blindside block. So then we got to get into our targeting process, right?
Correct.
Defenseless, of course.
Yeah, because he's receiving.
Attacking, of course.
Absolutely.
Right? That's an indicator. And then we just got to decide, where is that contact? So is it with the crown forcible? No.
Not with the crown.
He gets his head to the side. So now, does he forcibly hit the guy in the head and neck?
No,
No,
And he
shoulder.
doesn't. It's shoulder to shoulder, right?
correct.
So really good play. 2 different blocks. 2 different. Honestly, they're really different blocks. Way different, but they're kind of the same, which is interesting.
Yeah.
It's funny when you talk about the targeting process. We had this discussion after our game last Thursday that when you are the one calling targeting or evaluating a block for targeting or a hit for targeting, that you go through the process that we've always laid out. However, when you're an official coming in to talk to the calling official, you kind of work backwards. Does that make sense?
It does.
And
It
it
does.
just it's a conversation.
Especially, are you saying when you maybe perhaps disagree with the targeting? call?
Correct.
Yeah, because you hone in on the element that you find it not to be targeting, right?
Correct. And so we had 2 opportunities for this. One from our field judge and one's from myself. And our field judge kind of went down the process that we always talk about. And I went the other way, and I kind of shared that with him. He's like, well, that kind of helps, because that you want to get to the point that you kind of disagree with first, I think. And I don't know, we just kind of bandied about it, on the plane ride home and in the days afterwards. And we thought that, man, that might be a good way to discuss it in this platform.
So I like that in terms of, because the mechanic is we got to call for targeting. We have somebody, then the calling official needs to seek out a partner. Correct.
Right.
We're still doing that. So if that partner doesn't have targeting, then I feel like that partner needs to talk about the element that means it's not targeting.
Correct.
If the partner isn't sure, it's really nice for the crewmate to basically work through the process with the calling official. And that's
Yep.
why the process becomes so valuable from both standpoints, because we can actually leverage the process in both ways, just a little bit differently. I love that. I think you guys just developed something great there.
Well, we'll see.
Well, hopefully you don't have so many.
You're right.
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 Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
But if you do, you're ready. All right. Well, just like the season, I mean, we're off and running. We got into it tonight, right? This was great.
Well, it's not great for the people who want to be told exactly what
Yeah.
what the
What
answer
to call.
is. Right. And we
No,
can't
I mean,
do that.
No, nobody knew if there was a catch and play one.
Nope.
Play 2, I think we're pretty clear that was tripping, but the mechanics were fuzzy.
Yeah.
So we muddied the waters there. Play 3, we talked about every possible different way that could be or couldn't be anything. So that's probably confusing. And then we were just on the fence on every single one of these blindside blocks. So yeah, I mean, we got a lot done tonight.
Right.
But I hope what's coming out is the concepts of the elements that we're using to at least lead us down the pathway to make the decisions, right? And it's not always great, honestly, to look at plays 50 times in a loop, which is what we do every week. because you can keep talking yourself into different things. But I think it is great to look at plays 50 times in a loop so that you can really pull out concepts to develop process.
Correct,
And
and hone
that's
your
what this is all
process.
about.
Yeah, you cement your process 100%.
Yep.